Hello, my name is Dr. Emily Stafford, and today I'm going to share some information with you about the psychology clinic at Mississippi State. First, a little bit about me. I serve as our clinic director within the Department of Psychology. I also teach the Scientist Practitioner course series. It's a four-part course series, and you take classes 1 and 2 your first year, and classes 3 and 4 the year prior to going on internship. I graduated from Auburn University with a degree in counselor education. I also have a master's in community agency counseling and a bachelor's in psychology. And this is my family and my dog. So the services that we offer at the psychology clinic, typically when we're not in COVID times, we are open and provide a variety of face-to-face services. Those include therapy and assessments for children, adolescents, and adults. We also offer couples therapy and we offer specialty sleep services. So if people are having difficulties with sleep, they're able to come see us and get some interventions and some treatment around sleep. We also do a lot of outreach and education in the clinic, and that's one of the exciting things that I really enjoy about the Scientist Practitioner course series is you're able to get into the clinic and you're able to do those outreach things and share that information and that psychoeducation with people outside of the clinic. So it's very exciting for our students to be able to work both within the clinic and outside of the clinic. Of course, in COVID times, we've had to make adjustments. So we are offering teletherapy, and we just started teleassessment services. So right now, we're able to provide telehealth to children, adolescents, and adults for therapy services. We are also able to offer couples services through telehealth, and we are offering adult assessment services at this time. We're not offering child assessment services, but I hope that we'll be able to start that within the next semester or so. We have to develop the battery and kind of look at that process and how we're able to provide that to children through the camera. um, One of the other things that we do a lot of at the clinic, really within the whole program, is we have a suicide prevention program called the Alliance Project that we're able to train our students in, and you're able to go out and provide those presentations free of charge to anyone in the community. And we'll talk some more about that a little bit later. As you can see, here's a campus map, and at the top of your screen, circled in yellow, you'll see Magruder Hall, which is our main psychology building. And down at the bottom of the screen, circled in yellow, you'll see our clinic. So that's where we're located. We're a bit of a walk. It's about 12 minutes from our main building, but it's not too bad. We do have a golf cart in the department, so if it's too much of a walk for you, if perhaps it's particularly hot or cold that day, you can take the golf cart to get to the clinic if you need to. This is our waiting area. So when clients first come in the door, they have a little seating area that they can sit in, and sometimes parents will wait for their kids in this area. As you can see, we've scaled it down a little bit because of COVID. So we've only got really 2 chairs right now in the waiting area, and we've done that to try to space people out. Of course, right now at this very moment, we're not seeing people face to face for services because of COVID. We're doing everything through telehealth, but hopefully when we are able to resume those in-person services, the clinic will be ready because we've set up with all of the CDC recommendations regarding COVID in mind. So our rooms are going to look a little bit different on this virtual tour, and I'll talk a little bit about what we've done for COVID and then what the room looks like in non-COVID times. So our waiting area, as you can see, um, the outside of our clinic, it looks like this right now. Um, so I'm very happy to say that the university is always investing in campus infrastructure, and that means getting us a newly paved road in front of our building. They've in fact changed the traffic patterns a little bit to make it easier to get to the clinic and the other houses that are on the street. And so you might hear construction noise throughout this video, and that's because they're working right next to me as I record this. They're also working in front of our building. You can see that we've lost our ramp and our staircase that bring you to the front door, but I hope that those will be replaced soon. Right now, all of our clinicians, if they have to access the clinic, they're coming up through the back staircase into the kitchen. But I'm happy to say we'll have a bright and shiny new road in front of the building by the time you join us at Mississippi State. And this is what our current progress looks like. So, this is one of our therapy rooms. This room is one of our larger therapy rooms, and if it's not being used for individual therapy sessions, the chairs can be pushed back and we can bring out smaller chairs to make a circle. And so, we also use this room as our group room at times when we need it. So, some of the additions to the room that you'll see that are COVID specific on the bottom left hand corner of your screen, you'll see a plexiglass barrier. That's a tabletop barrier, and the university made and delivered all of those barriers to our clinic for us. So if you're doing an assessment with someone and it's face to face, of course, masks are mandatory in the clinic when we will resume face to face services. They're mandatory now, even though clients aren't in the building. And so you could set that tabletop barrier on the table between you and the client if you're doing an assessment. And of course, both of you would still also be in masks and you can work with the client. And that's just an extra layer of precautions that we have for our students and for our staff. One of the other changes that you'll see on the bottom right hand corner, you'll see some laptops that are set up. And that's because all of our clinicians right now are accessing our electronic medical record system called Titanium. They're doing that through remote access. So, what I've done is set up a bunch of computers in our rooms so our clinicians can remote into those laptops. Typically, those laptops are locked away, would not in use in our technology cabinet, but because we need people to remote into our electronic medical record system, I've taken out all of our computers and set those up for student and staff use. So this is another one of our therapy rooms. You can see we've got the nice big comfy chairs, and you can see that I've set out an additional laptop on the table for remote access for our students. This is our play therapy room. So this is the kid room. This is the room that my son loves to visit when he comes occasionally when he comes to the clinic with me. We've got lots and lots of toys in the cabinets and a comfortable space for the kids down on the mat or for the adults or the clinician or whomever. This is our clinician workroom. We have 5 computers in this space. We've got 3 printers, 3 scanners, and a fax machine. We've also got a small clinic library. You might notice the white shelf with the books on it. We also keep all of our testing and assessment supplies in here, so that's what's filled up the filing cabinets. And you'll notice that we also have these large plexiglass barrier shields in between each workstation. And that is another tool that the university has provided for us to help create kind of some distance between those workspaces, even though it is kind of tight quarters, um, to help decrease some of the exposure when we do resume face to face in person services. This is what our workroom looks like without the barriers. So you can see it's a little more spacious. Um, it's quite comfortable, I think. It used to be the clinic workroom was a smaller space and only accommodated 2 students, and we were able to expand that with some money from our department head and kind of guidance from the department. We were able to purchase some more technology and kind of branched out that space a little bit to make clinicians more comfortable while they're in the clinic. So this is my office. This used to actually be the clinician workroom, but we traded. So they've got some more space, and I've got just as much space as I need. So you'll notice that there are 2 pictures here, and that's because I have 2 offices. One office is at the clinic. That's where I am right now recording this video. So the picture on your left is where I'm currently sitting, and the picture on your right is where my office is in Magruder. So I'm on the 3rd floor, and I spend a fair amount of time in Magruder, but most of my time is spent in the clinic. So if you ever have an appointment with me as a student, you'll want to make sure when we set our appointment, we'll want to clarify which office space we're meeting in, since I do have 2. So this is our kitchen that we have at the clinic. You can see we have a community Keurig machine, and typically there's community use coffee in those little glass jars. I'll often bring in coffee for clinicians, and you're welcome to bring in anything that you might want. Anything that's in the jars is community use. And because we haven't really been in the clinic since March, I dumped all the coffee that was in there. So there'll be nice, fresh coffee by the time you're in the clinic with us. You can also see in the picture on your right, we've got lots of coffee cups. Clinicians are welcome to bring their own cup and hang it on a hook and leave it at the sink. We have supplies that you can clean your coffee cups. We've also got a space for you to keep maybe any lunch or warm up any lunch if you happen to be on lunch while you're working in the clinic. All of those things are available for clinicians. So, I'm going to switch gears for a little bit and talk about the outreach that the clinic does. So, this is a picture from the very first Pride event that City of Starkville held. So, the city had the parade, and they also had, prior to the parade, like an open art market. And the clinic was able to go and set up a table at that market and kind of share some different resources with the people in the community about what type of services we provide and things like that. So, that was very exciting to participate in. And the clinic also does a fair amount of outreach when it comes to suicide prevention. So, this photo was taken with some of our partners at the Mississippi State University Extension Service. We went out to the Mississippi Delta, which was flooded a year ago for at least 9 months. I mean, people spent 9 months underwater. And then there was a few months that things kind of dried out, and then the floods started again. And I believe they've been underwater again at least 6 months. So it's really been a real tragedy that you haven't really heard about in the media very much. Prior to even COVID happening, this was an issue that was ongoing for the Mississippi Delta. And so the people there have had a really difficult time. And we were asked to, Dr. Nadorf in the picture and I were asked to go with Dr. David Bies, who's also in the picture, his office, and talk to the people about just the different suicide prevention services and trainings that we offered. So we're very happy for our partnership with Mississippi State University Extension and kind of meeting face to face with some people and talking with them about the different challenges that they've experienced. So while we were on this trip to the Delta, we also got to tour an industrial cotton gin or commercial cotton gin. So that's what this picture is. We got to look at some of the cotton that came out of the gin. And this is an outreach that Dr. Nadorf and I did for City of Starkville Police. We had a mental health training and a suicide prevention training with their office. This was one of the few live trainings that we've done this year. You'll notice that the people in the picture are kind of spaced out and everybody's in masks. And that's just because of COVID. We've kind of had to get creative about how we're doing our trainings. So we're doing most of them virtually right now, and just a very few are in person. So, speaking of trainings, so the university, the Department of Psychology, did receive a rather large grant to bring suicide prevention training to the state of Mississippi. So, our goal is to train 5,000 individuals a year in suicide prevention and 1,000 individuals a year in suicide postvention. So, we're doing lots and lots and lots of trainings. Part of that is we also partner with Department of Mental Health to organize an annual conference related to suicide prevention when the professionals and people interested in prevention can come and do that. This year's conference was virtual and it was very well attended. A lot of our students got to attend as well as just other professionals within the state and some that were outside of the state. We even had some people came in internationally for that conference. We had a couple people who joined the virtual conference from out of the country. So it was pretty well attended. Um, so we're very fortunate to have that grant and to be able to partner with Mississippi Department of Mental Health and bring those trainings to the people within the state. We are able to, as part of the grant, travel anywhere in the state, and the grant pays for it. So whoever receives the training, it's free of cost to them. Our time is paid for, our travel is paid for, our food is paid for on those trips. So it's a very exciting thing to travel and to be able to do that and see people face to face when we're not in COVID times. Of course, right now everything's mostly being done virtual, but we look forward to being able to do those in person trainings again. Some of the advantages of doing the trainings with us. So you'll see Dr. Nadorf and I. This was from a trip that we took to provide training for a school district on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. This was prior to COVID. So we were able to see the teachers face to face and meet with them and go over the suicide prevention tips with them so they could take that back to their students and back to their school. And so the picture on the right is at just before the presentation started. And then the picture on the left is all the exciting things that you get to do while you are traveling and doing these trainings, like eat lovely food. Some of the other exciting things that the grant has brought to the Department of Psychology, to Mississippi State, and to the clinic is the use of upgraded equipment. So, this is a rather large television set that went into Dr. Nadorf's lab that was used for the conference and that has been used for a lot of our virtual meetings. So, we're very exciting that we're able to invest and upgrade a lot of our technology within the department, and that's a direct result of the grant and that funding. So, this is the part of the presentation where I shift gears a little bit and I talk to you about why I love living in Starkville, Mississippi, and why I hope that you will also like living in Starkville, Mississippi. So, first off, it's a beautiful campus. So, this picture was taken on just a random spring day last year. This was, I think, a couple of weeks before COVID really hit. So, people were out and kind of walking around a little bit more. But this building is one of our buildings on campus. It's 2 buildings down from our main psychology building. It might be 3. So next door to us is George Hall, and then the YMCA building, and then this building. This is our chapel building. So the campus is just gorgeous. You'll really enjoy walking around. The weather here is usually pretty good. It does get very, very hot in the summer, but winters are very, very mild. Spring is gorgeous, and so is fall. So also within the area, we've got a lot of protected wildlife areas. So this picture was taken at Noxubee Wildlife Refuge, which is about 15-minute drive from campus. So there's lots of hiking and different walking paths there. So you can see this is like the water area. You can take canoes into the water area. There's also picnicking, things like that. This is one of the wildlife trails. It's like a boardwalk that goes out onto a lake. And so you can see lots of wildlife and fish and alligators and things. So this is the hiking area. So you can see I did the trail. This is my son when he's a little bit younger. So I had a baby on my back the whole time, but it was an easy hike. It wasn't too bad. And there's kind of a lake area and you can see us looking out. So this is all at the Noxubee Wildlife Refuge, all of these pictures. This picture was taken more recently at Plymouth Bluff, which is another hiking area that's maybe 25 minutes from town. It's not too bad. And it's a pretty easy path as well. So you can see they've done a good job kind of maintaining the path through the forest, through the woods. And it's really a lovely walk. This is the Columbus River Walk. Columbus, Mississippi is located about 30 minutes from Starkville, and they have a 5-mile paved path that goes along the river. So you can run or you can bike or walk. And this is a picture of my son biking on that path. It's really a lovely walk. Other things within Starkville, we've also got, within Starkville, we have a rather large bunny that you'll have to ask Dr. Dozier about. So you'll see that bunny is being fed in the picture on the right. And a couple hours drive from Starkville, there's an outdoor safari park. So one of the things that my family was looking to do during the times of COVID was find different ways that we could still maybe go out and do things, but in a COVID compliant, safer manner. So we found the drive-through safari park, and this picture is taken of a cow, a bull, a very large animal with horns that was very interested in what we had in the car, because as you go through the park, they give you like a little bag of food to feed the animals. And you're not supposed to feed the animals from hand because they might bite you, but you kind of toss it out to them. But the animals know that food comes from the cars and that people toss it out. So they get very excited and come right up to the window. So this was a very inquisitive cow that was well fed by the time we left. So one of the other things that I really love about this town is that there are a lot of events. We have a pumpkin palooza in the fall that's kind of Halloween themed. There's a holiday parade, which this picture is taken from the Pride Parade, which I mentioned earlier. We have an art market every spring that's kind of an open door downtown area art market. They shut down a block or two, and they've got music, and they've got the art vendors from all over the state that'll come in. The vet school does a fair amount of programming as well that's community oriented. So they have an open house every year. You can go and see all the vet animals and pet the animals and kind of see the different things that they do there. So there's a fair amount that goes on. Even though it's a small town, there's a lot of stuff to do, which I really appreciate. So the other great thing about living in Starkville is, so these pictures were taken at the beach, and obviously we don't have a beach here, but we are only a couple hours from the beach. So we're about 3.5, 4 hours from the Alabama beaches. So you can make an easy weekend of it. You can maybe go down on a Friday and come back up on a Sunday night, and it makes a nice little weekend trip. And that's what I have. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the clinic and hearing about living in the city of Starkville. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer email. So I've listed my email address down at the bottom. It's emily.stafford@msstate.edu. And I look forward to seeing you soon.